Thank you for joining, Didi. I'd like to take you on a journey with me, and I have to give you a little bit of background information first. Almost 4 years ago, my son committed suicide, and I've been on this quest to get his story out there because mental health is no joke. Hello, George. Welcome into the group. I'm just talking about mental health and suicide prevention and awareness. I've experienced this myself with my own eldest son, and it took me down a dark road that I never wanted to go down, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody. And this is I can actually talk about it now. I've been telling you all week when I've been coming live that because of legal reasons I had to stay quiet because I didn't want to jeopardise anything, but I've managed to actually get things sorted. For the past 4 years, I've been fighting for change within the system, getting things sorted so other people didn't have to go through what I went through, because that trauma is horrendous, honest to God. You picked me up off the damn floor. It was that bad. Manchester police failed to come to 3 calls for assistance with my son who had a mental episode, and subsequently he ended up unaliving himself, which led down another dark path to find out the truth as to why the police and ambulance service never turned up for 15 hours too late. Then they turn up at his door and find him. Hi, Jacob. Hi, Louis. Thank you for coming into the room. Now, let me turn the camera around just for a minute so you can see where I am and what I'm doing, because it's quite important that I get this message out there. I'm actually on my computer at the moment preparing to upload my book that should have been published by a company which turned out to be a scam. They've held on to my book now for 27 months and it's been horrendous. You know, the contract was agreed that within 12 months it would be published. However, this didn't happen. And I've had a fight on my hand over the past couple of weeks trying to retrieve it and get it back. Hello, Everett. Thank you for joining. Please tap on the screen and so we can get other people into the room, because I am trying to get a message out there about be aware about scammers, and also publishing companies that are not real, because it's horrendous. You know, you entrust somebody with something so sensitive as my son's story about his mental health struggles, because he came to me when he was still here asking me, Mum, can you help me to write my book? Because he suffered with dyslexia and he wouldn't have a clue how to navigate that system. And I agreed. I said, okay, but I need to know what you want to disclose, because there's things in your life that you might not want the public to know about. And he said to me, Mum, I need an open and honest account about my life so people can see what happens to people in their mental health state of mind. And I said, okay, but you need to write that down so I have confirmation of what you want me to put in the book, because I wouldn't have divulged stuff that he didn't want out there in the public domain. So he wrote me a letter, although it was mixed because of his dyslexia. I understood what he was trying to say because I'm his mum. You know, I've been reading his writing for years. And And I started to write his story, but then it turned down a dark path. And that dark path was horrendous for any parent or any family to ever go through. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, not even my worst enemy. Not that I've got any. But this publishing company had a hold of my son's story for such a long time. Hi, Chantal. Thank you, darling, for coming into the room. And I've just been fighting to get control of my book back again. Well, it's not my book, it's actually my son. He's no longer here to speak. I'm his voice. I'm speaking on his behalf, which I've managed to do. I've sent a final email over to them today with a termination of contract because of they're in breach of contract. They didn't fulfil their side of the bargain. Phoning trading standards is when I got wind that these were a possible scam company. They were on their radar and advised me what to do. So I've followed their advice, and now I've got control back of my son's book. I'm not trusting it with any publisher. I've been bitten once. I'm not going to get bitten again. So I'm going down the route of self-publication, and that's what I'm doing today. I'm on the computer. I'm going to be uploading everything, and I'm going to be publishing it myself. That way I have full control over my son's book. And it is his book. It belongs to him because it's his story, his truth about his mental health and struggles through life. The young guy behind me is the gentleman I'm talking about. His name is Brian, and he is sadly missed by all of his family, his nieces, his nephews, his cousins, his aunties, everybody. They're all missing him terribly. But going down this road with finding out the truth, I had to write a hell of a lot of complaints to different, because I'm a healthcare worker myself. I've worked in palliative care, mental health, and worked in nursing homes throughout my working life. So I do know the protocol. I do know what you should do in circumstances like that. And there's no way on this earth I would have turned up at somebody's home and didn't make eye contact with them. If I couldn't get eye contact, I would have actually gone down the route of contacting the family or getting the police out on an emergency call, because that situation was where his neighbour actually phoned 3 times, because it's not normal behaviour for somebody to actually go knocking on your door and say, "Can you kill me, please?" begging him to kill him. That was a psychotic episode. And it should have been flagged as red. However, it wasn't, and they didn't turn up until 15 hours later, which was the following day when it was too late. So writing all these complaints to the police, the ambulance service, the GPs for the failings of getting him sectioned, when he was crying out, telling them that he wanted to kill himself, he was begging for help. Nobody was helping him. They kept slamming the door in his damn face, and this is why I'm here fighting for you guys, so you don't have to go through that same trauma. And I'm hoping that you will follow me and help me on this journey, because I'm here doing all this, but you guys are my healing. You're helping me to heal by offloading it. I've not been able to do anything for the past 4 years. I've been too engrossed in finding out the truth, getting my son's book published. And we're coming to a point now where it's coming to that stage where I'm going to get it done. By hook or crook, it's going to be done today. And I'm going to be sitting at this computer, and I don't care how long it takes me. I'm not leaving it until my son's book is out there on the system, obviously it takes up to 72 hours for it to be proofread, but that's already been done. And getting it out there is my drive now. Hi, Laura. Thank you for coming into the room. Hello, Sam. Retro, you're all welcome. Thank you for all of you for joining me, but please do tap on the screen so we can get more people in, because it is a very important message. Mental health is not a joke. You know, I lost my son to mental health, and it's no joke having to keep driving up to a cemetery to put flowers on there when it shouldn't be him that's in that grave. It should be me. He should have been burying me first, not the other way round. But it's strange knowing where I'm going to be buried. You know, you don't know where your grave is going to be until you're actually in it. But this is my drive to get help and change the system. One of the things I did do was when I wrote to the police and I got the police report back, it was horrendous reading it. 7 police officers just signed it off as closed, the case closed. You know, and even in the coroner's court, they turned around and said that there was a 3-hour window of a missed opportunity to save a young man's life. Because of my tenacity and determination and sending over all emails that I received from different organisations, I got to the truth. Because, you know, I'm one of these people who get a bit between my teeth. I won't let go until I get to the truth. And I did get to the truth of the matter, and I've written about it. But because of my son Brian, the system was changed. His case was actually raised in the Houses of Parliament, and his legacy to the community now is everything. It goes into like a tier system: green, amber, red. Mental health is no longer it's no longer dealt with as a non-urgent case. You know, automatically you'll go into amber, and if that certain call comes in, it goes straight to red and somebody has to attend immediately. But a lot of the people don't realise that the ambulance service don't have power of entry. Only the police can actually break in. And that's what the failings were that night. The police didn't turn up. And I will be forever angry at Manchester and Bolton Police for that, because of their lacking of duty of care. I lost my son, and it should never have been that way, ever. But I've actually, today I sent a formal letter of termination of contract with this publishing company. Although my book was locked into their system and I couldn't actually change anything within the system, I had to I sat at this computer 14 hours solid to recover it back onto another template, so they can't control that copy. And I did notice when I was retyping it back over onto another template that they'd had removed quite a lot of important information out of there that I will be putting back in, because that information needs to be out there in the public domain. They need to know, and they need to know what procedures to do, where to go, who to ask and what to say. Being a mum, at the time of grieving, I didn't really have time to grieve, if you know what I mean, because I was going through the process of all these complaints and everything. But because I didn't want to miss anything or misinterpret anything, I had to be writing them down at the same time. So coroner's days, as soon as I came in, I was on my computer, so I didn't forget things. I knew exactly what was said and who said what and what. So I didn't get the chance to really grieve. But that was me wanting to make sure that the truth was told. It's a sad story, and his story is they could have saved me, which they could have. And it will be published and it will be set, out there. And I just hope you guys follow me on this journey to getting it published eventually. It's been a nightmare with this damn publishing company getting my book back, but I've got it back. They picked on the wrong mama. Let me put it that way. Mama Bear came out and they picked on the wrong one. So yes, I have actually been very busy trying to do things in the background. And I would appreciate it if you would follow me and help me on this journey, because it is a healing journey. It's a painful one. Because once I've actually once I've actually published this book, I can finally grieve. It's not been an easy journey. No parent should ever go through what I've gone through. And I already know of 2 other people who have gone through the same situation as I have since Brian. And it's sad. It's really sad that there's not enough help out there for people with mental health. So I would ask you as a community to please support me and help me through this journey. It's hard enough knowing he's not ever going to be here again. I don't hear his voice when I go up to the graveyard. I'm talking to him, but I never get a reply. But I've got to believe that he's here with me. I really do have to believe he's here. Otherwise, I wouldn't get through it. I know you miss him, Laura. We all do. It's just what this publishing company have done is they've actually escalated my grief to do that to a mother, because they knew the circumstances and why I wanted to publish this book. And to do that to a grieving mother is unbelievable. It really is. They're the lowest of the low. I can't name them at the moment because it's under investigation, and hopefully I will see them the day in court with them, because it's absolutely appalling what they've done. But I will say that it will be on BBC Watchdog. I had a call off them the other day in regards to what's going off with this company. I've also been in contact with Action Fraud. My bank looked into the situation and they've realised that this is something going off here. It is a scam. And I'm really trying to just warn people of situations that I've just gone through. I wouldn't like any of you to go through the same thing. It's hard. It really is hard. When I first found out through Trading Standards, because I found them because of this has been going on for 27 months. Now in the contract it said 12 months to publication. However, further down the line they have written in there you could take up anything from up to 18 months to 2 years, which I allowed for. I did allow for those extra months that they were included in that contract. However, it was 27 months down the line and still nothing. I sent an email. Well, I tried to phone the company to find out what was going on and why I hadn't heard anything from them, and only to receive an email, please don't call, which set alarm bells in my head. And I'm thinking, well, why can't I call? Where's the customer service here? So I got on to Trading Standards, and Trading Standards then informed me that they are well and truly flagged on this company, and sorry, Veronica, but we have a belief that this could be a possible scam. And they advised me what to do, which I did follow their advice. Immediately that day, I sent an email of intention to cancel, giving them 14 days to produce my son's book and to publication, and they haven't done it. So today I finally sent in an email of termination of contract, with all my rights reverted back to me as the legal owner of his book. Thank you for joining, Dolly. Please tap on the screen, and because the more people tap on, I don't know how it works, but the more people tap on the screen, the more people we get into the room, and that's what I want. I want to get as many people as we can. Thank you for joining World of Views. So as I was saying, it has been a hard 27 months. I should have been grieving, but I haven't. I've been concentrating on getting this out there and fulfilling my son's last wishes, which I'm hoping to do today. And I want you to just help me, to support me through this. It's not been an easy road by any means. You know, it's the last thing a parent wants to do is bury a child. It doesn't matter how old they are. My son was a grown adult, but he was still my son. You know, he was the one that made me a mom. You know, when his mental health started when his firstborn, well, actually it was when he was at the Hillsborough, because he was at the Hillsborough disaster. He was only 15. I sat at the TV glued all day, and I don't bloody like football. I think it was stupid grown men running around the field kicking a white ball, but never mind, that's up to them. But it was his birthday, and his godfather took him to the Hillsborough for the football match, and he was there on that day that tragedy happened, and I was absolutely petrified. I thought, oh my God, my son's there, and I was glued to the telly, watching, hoping and praying that he wasn't going to be hurt. And when he walked through the door, I just fell to the floor. You know, his godfather just looked at me and he said, "He's all right, Veronica." And I said, "I've been watching it all day." You don't care, Sam. Well, thank you for that. I'll let you. That's entirely up to you, darling. I'm not asking you to care. I'm just asking you to follow me on my journey. Thank you anyway for your comment. And then he went. Things changed from then. He always used to say, "Mum, the devil's following him." Brian, the devil's not following you. You know, it's all in your head, darling. And I ended up getting a priest into the house just to bless the house, to convince him that there's nothing in the house going to hurt him. But even that didn't help. I came home one day and found that he'd painted his room black with a big devil on the wall, which really freaked me out. And I just went and got some paint and painted over it immediately. There's just little things like that. And that was when he was 15. Then he met a lovely lady. She was a couple of years older than him when he was 19, and they ended up having a little boy, Curtis. But sadly, he was. I always used to say he was too young to be a dad, but he was certainly too young to have to deal with finding his baby dead in the cot, because his baby died from cot death at 3 months old. And from that day, he was never the same man. He was never the same young guy. His personality, everything changed. He had 3 personalities. Bree was his normal, happy self. Shaggy was his fun-loving, mischievous self, it was really lovely when he was out to play. But then he perceived himself as a nasty, evil person, and he called him Lakey. He didn't like Lakey. Once he showed his ugly face, it was something that you just had to wait until he burnt himself out. 9 times out of 10, his brother would phone me and say, "Mum, you're going to have to come and get him because he's losing it again." And I would be the only one that could really control him to a certain point. Eventually, he'd calm down when he was in my company, and that's how it was. But these are the things that he wanted to be open and honest about. The fact that he ended up in a mental hospital for 3 months after his son died. And, and that was just only 19. He shouldn't have had to gone all through that at such a young age. And no wonder he had mental health issues. Mental health is serious. It really is. And this story, it's his biography really, is about mental health and raising awareness, the fact that because of his death, the system was changed, and that was his legacy to the community. One of the other things I did as a healthcare worker in palliative care, I actually insisted that his story be used to train people. And it's now being used to train people across the board on especially emergency services as to the lack of awareness to mental health. That's his legacy. It's one of the things that shouldn't have happened, but it did happen, and I made damn sure it wasn't going to happen again. This is really something that Manchester Police really do need to pick up on and use his story to train their staff, as it's the consequence. I always say every action has a reaction. Every reaction has a consequence. You have to live by that. Thank you, Eva. Thank you for your comment. That's lovely. Like I said, when the mama bear comes out, watch out. I'm hoping by the end of this today, I get this book out there and published. I'm not trusting a publisher again. I went down that road and, I got bitten, and it really, at a time when I didn't really need to be exposed to that. But I'm sitting here on Amazon, and I'm going to be self-publishing. That way I've got full control over it. I really do want people to read his book, and I'm hoping that it will help others, especially people who are suffering with mental health, because there's information in there that I've put that I want where people need to go to get help. And I've also, I'm on other platforms raising awareness. It's not just here on TikTok. I have my own YouTube, which is at Veronica, Angels Do Exist. And I do believe in angels, because there's a hell of a lot of them saved my life over the years. And I've actually had it happen to me where I've had a voice come in my head, and I've always said it was my angel to go and check on one of my kids. And when I went, I found that he'd got sepsis, and rushed him into hospital. And the consultant said to me, Veronica, if you hadn't brought him in tonight, he would have been dead. So I saved my son's life. And he was in hospital for 7 weeks fighting. The colour had just completely drained. It just sucked the life out of him. And I kept saying to him, Mark, you've got to fight this. I'm not burying another one of my kids. And he's, Mum, I'm trying. I said, well, try bloody harder, because I'm not going down that road. And he did. He managed to survive. It's a really tough road to be on. But with, like I said, with the support of the community, I will get there. I will get there eventually, and I would hope that people would enjoy. Well, I don't think you'll enjoy it, because it's quite. All I will say is make sure you've got a box of tissues with you, because it's quite sad. It's a sad situation that no family should ever have to be in. But this is why I'm here today, and one of the things I wanted to do is tell you about my other books that I've written, one of whom I entered into poetry. It's Sleeping Winds. I entered a poem many years ago when I was in my 30s, and this was just after my grandson died, and it won an award, but just knowing it had won an award was enough for me. They did invite me to go to Chicago, but I was never able to go to collect the award, but just knowing I'd got it was enough for me. The other book I've written is When Time Matters, Angels Do Exist. And this is really dedicated to all these healthcare workers out there, because over time, I've been in situations where I come across a lot of healthcare workers, when I was working in palliative care, and every single one of them worked really hard to help other families. And this is about their stories. Families within this, obviously, every single one of what I write about is about an individual family, and it's a unique way of me explaining their life in a little snippet, if you like to put it that way, where their story lives on even though they're no longer here. And I will say to people, if you can put pen to paper, write down your life, because at the end of the day, we've all got a story to tell. It just depends on what chapter you're on, which is your next chapter. Well, my next chapter is actually getting my son's book finally published. Hello, Mike. Welcome into the room. Hello, David. It's getting my son's book published and getting it out there. But there is some really evil people to do what they've done to me over the past 20. To promise a mother who was grieving, my son had only been dead 12 months, that they're going to get his book published within 12 months, and then they don't do it. I'm 27 months down the line to find out that it was a scam all along. And I do feel like a bloody fool for that, to be fair. The other thing I do have is on World Press, and it's free to read. It doesn't cost anything. If you go onto there, you can look up When Time Matters, Angels Do Exist, and you can read. There's one of my patients who sadly passed away many years ago, actually said to me, Veronica, why don't you put it in a book form? And I didn't really think of doing it that way, because it was just a blog, but I did end up putting it in book form. And each one is dated because I like to know the date that I actually met this family. And they're all little snippets of their lives. There's one called Forget Me Not. I know there's another one, A Country in Mourning. That was when Diana died. Guilty or Not Guilty. To Love and Cherish Till Death Do Us Part. This one's about an elderly couple. They were in the hundreds, up to believe it or not. His wife was 102 and he was 100. And he was suffering with dementia. But these are all these little things, going that extra mile. You know, it's all little stories, A Duty of Care. They're all up on World Press, and they are free to read whenever you want to. Just go in there and have a look at them. Hello, Kevin. Thank you for coming in. The other 3 books I've written one is called The Wailing Wives and the Sundancer. And this is a historical biography. It's written about my great-great-great-grandmother in the 1800s. Her husband, who's my great-great-grandfather, Luke, was a sailor on the old wooden ships. Now, this ship went down off the Isle of Sheppey and all hands were lost, which left her destitute with 3 daughters, and she managed to keep herself out of the workhouse. When I was doing Ancestry and I found her story, and I thought her story needs to be told. You know, it's sad that it's taken over 200 years for me to find it as her 8th great-granddaughter, but I found it. And I decided to write her story because it was noted in the local papers that the women husbands were on board that ship were standing on the shores wailing. They could hear the screams and cries for help to get the husbands. But in them days, they didn't have rescue service. It was just a wooden boat, rowing boat, and trying to rescue these men from the cold winter sea in the middle of December. Nobody survived. It was shocking, really, when I read her story. But she managed to keep herself and her 3 daughters out of the poorhouse. She was very strong-willed. But sadly, she died when she was only 49, and that goes to say just how hard a life it was for her. And I just decided, no, I need to tell her story. So I've written her story, and that's going into publication because I put that up yesterday. And the other one is How Dare You, This Is My Life. And that one's about going through a series of events where people were trying to disrupt your life. And I felt that needed to be told. The other one is I Thought I Knew You. Then all these books will be on Amazon because I will not go down the road of another publisher. Like I said, once bitten, twice shy. So all my books from now on will be self-published. Please do tap on the screen so we can get more people in. If anybody would like to ask any questions, please do. I'm an honest and open person. I will always tell you if I know the answers. If I don't, then I will try and find the answers for you. I am actually a retired healthcare worker now. After what my son did, I couldn't face going back to the hospice. It wouldn't have been fair on a family to actually. I was going through the grieving process myself, and it would never have been fair if I had a mental breakdown in front of them while dealing with their own grief. It wouldn't have been a really nice situation to put any family in, and I refused to do that. So I actually left working with the hospice. But having said that, the hospice did keep my job open for 2 years, hoping that I would come back. But sadly, I didn't think I was mentally able to do that. I was too focused on getting to the truth of what happened to my own son and changing the system and making sure that things were put in place that hopefully it will never happen again to another family. But 9 times out of 10, it's a sad situation, it will. But if I can save one life, that's one family less who has to go through the trauma I went through. Welcome in the room. I'm not going to even say that. But welcome in the room anyway. I'm going to invite some of you into the room and see if you would like to have a discussion on where I'm going with this. I haven't put any requests for gifts because it's not about gifts. It's about giving back to the community. And that's what I want, to give back to the community. You know, we're all going to meet at Heaven's Gate one day. And when Archangel asked me, what have you achieved in your lifetime? What did you learn? Well, I know exactly what I've learned. Compassion, empathy costs nothing, but its value is worth so much more. Thank you for coming in the room, AK 130451. This is a room where we're talking about mental health awareness and suicide prevention. It's something that's very close to my heart, AK, having lost my own son to suicide. And I'm actually sitting at my computer right now, waiting to go on to it so I can. Let me just move my camera around a little bit. We're in the processes of actually publishing my book that I've just managed to retrieve back from a scam publisher. It should have been published over a year ago, nearly 2 years ago. But we all learn from our mistakes. Thank you for coming in the room, Murty. You're welcome. Please do tap on the screen so we can get people in. It's really important that I actually get this message out there. You know, mental health is serious. You never know when you're going to come across it. And if you have the tools and the knowledge, you know how to deal with it. If you don't, you're at a loss of what to do. And I have noticed when I'm walking around, especially in the cities, if there's anybody in distress, people just walk straight past them like, oh, it's not my problem, I'm not getting involved. Well, hang on a minute. If you're in distress, would you like somebody just to ignore you? No. You know, I always make a point, if I see somebody in distress, I will actually ask them, are you okay? And that's all it needs. Are you okay? may save a life. Yes, you may ask, they may turn around and tell you their full life story, but if it's offloading and helping them to stay alive, then I would be willing to listen. People ask me, are you okay? No, I'm not okay. I'm telling you my story. But by telling it, I'm getting it off my chest, and it's not eating me up. And that's why I'm here. And I appreciate every single one of you who have come in the room and stayed with me in the room. I know some of you don't. It's not a subject that you want to be really listening to, but I really do appreciate every single one of you. It's love costs nothing, caring costs nothing. We, as a community, we all need to come together and start helping each other. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. You need to help each other in whichever way you can. Compassion doesn't cost anything. It doesn't always have to be a monetary thing. You don't need to be giving money to people all the time. Just helping somebody is, in itself, is a gift. Hello, Da Vinci. Welcome back in the room. It's nice to see you again. Now, you've missed the conversation earlier on, Da Vinci. What's happened is my book that you were all waiting to be published has actually, the company that I went down the road with turned out to be a scam. And I've had a hell of a fight getting my book back. But I have got it back. And this is why I'm at the computer now, ready to go self-publication. I'm not doing the route of publishers again. Some people have mentioned different other organisations that would do it, but I'm not doing it. I want full control myself. This is a sensitive subject and a sensitive book. So I just want to make sure that it's done the way I want it done and the way my son wanted it done. And it's not going to be an expensive book at all. I know some people put extortionate prices on there for books, and I'm thinking, well, how come, especially today, people are struggling as it is, never mind bloody putting up prices on books and things. So no, it's not going to be an expensive book. It's going to be accessible to most people. And I hope you look out for it on Amazon. It is actually called They Could Have Saved Me is the name of the book, and it's by Phoebe Harper. Phoebe Harper is my grandmother I told you about. She was a strong woman, and I actually named one of my granddaughters after her, Phoebe. So I'm grateful for all of you for staying in the room with me. But I'm going to sign off now and concentrate on just getting this book published. And thank you for being with me this morning. I do appreciate it. And have a good day. Thank you.